If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this episode of Mind Pump.
Oh, I put you guys on the hot seat for just a quick minute there about daddy daycare.
I don't want to think about that stuff.
I know you guys both got a little nervous talking about that stuff.
So for about 42 minutes, we have some nice conversation. We talk about the largest aquariums in the world. I took my kids to the Monterey Aquarium. We talk about country music.
Sal was wrong, by the way, and that just you guys will see.
Yeah, it was almost.
It wasn't top 5, bro.
I was almost right.
Mr.
Though.
Google failed today.
We talk about country music, and Adam says how he likes to go there because of all the hot girls.
Way to go. Way to roll me under the bus, Dick.
We get
true.
We get the update on Justin's chickens after that debacle that happened earlier.
Hashtag productivity.
And then we get into a kind of a heated discussion about the pluses and minuses of putting your kids on social media. We also announce our flash sale, which I talk about at the end of the episode as well. If you want to get information about that flash sale, you have to register for the 30 days of coaching, which is at mindpumpmedia.com. And then we talk about our Organifi contest that we were coming up with. So I think what we decided was people, if you go on Instagram,
or maybe someone gives us a good idea. I like to see.
You want to keep it open?
Yeah, let's keep. We're not gonna nail it down yet. We'll definitely put it out there later on. But let's find out.
We're gonna give shit for free.
We want to give away some free Organifi supplements. So give us some suggestions. I guess they should email admin@mindpumpmedia.com with your suggestions on how you can win an Organifi supplement. And then we get into the questions. The first question was,
did you tell where people could go if they actually want to Organifi right now?
That's great. Thanks, Adam. It's
Adam,
Organifi.
I'm Adam. That's Justin.
My bad.
Doug is right over there.
It's OrganifiShop.com.
Just call him Austin.
And also, you can use the code MINDPUMP for a massive discount. And let's get into the questions. The first question was, what styles of CNS training could you do in replace of trigger sessions? For example, isometrics or plyometrics. Then we talked about working the floor as a personal trainer. Many of your clients can come from the actual people working out in the gym on the floor. We talk about some of the techniques on how to approach them and how to make that happen.
Adam works the pole.
That's right. Might be a good idea to hang out in the parking lot, see who drives up in the $100,000 whip.
Yep, and sound like a douchebag. Then we could talk about if you have clients with eating disorders, what you can do to help them and who you should send them to. And finally, Justin's been in a band before. Does Mind Pump compare to being in a band? He thinks it does. He talks about it in that particular question. And finally, this month, you can get access to our private forum for free. There's about 2,000 members on there, personal trainers, fitness professionals, myself, Adam, and Justin. We're on there every single day. You can get access for free if you enroll in any MAPS program or any MAPS bundle, including our super bundle, which is 1 year's worth of exercise programming. And also, don't forget, the price goes up in September. You can find all of that at mindpumpmedia.com.
All by myself. Yeah, I'm all by myself. They all left me. But the good news is people left a lot of reviews. In fact, we got 46 reviews this last week, and I'm going to give away 12 t-shirts. So take that, Sal, Adam, and Justin. All right, our winners are Jackie0721, Rosie Rel 10, Amazing Me 0311, Kendon Shaw, Jazz Massa, Junior Swam, Pime 0965, Dudley 2 Right, Joey Bag of Donuts, Joe Brendel, F. Surik 88, and Being the Best Colin. All of you are winners. Send the name I just read to iTunes at mindpumpmedia.com. Send your shirt size, your shipping address, and we'll get that right out to you.
Welcome to the Sal and Adam Show,
where we talk shit about Justin,
who's not plugged in or on the show. So anyway, Adam, you ever seen somebody with paler skin than Justin?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Never.
Oh, he's here. Oh. Hey, Justin. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, you bastards?
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
You have a very rugged, handsome look to your face.
I know that.
It's, huh?
Yeah.
You're aware of it?
For sure.
You're not supposed to say that, bro. You're supposed to be like,
carried
thank
me
you
through
for that.
life so far.
You're supposed to be like, oh, thank you for that compliment. Not be like, you know what I mean?
What'd you guys do this weekend?
No, I own that.
What'd you do this weekend? Did Do you have your kids or no?
I do. I had my kids this weekend. I have them all week. I took them to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, one of my favorite places
nice.
on earth.
Really?
Oh, I love it there.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
You know what's funny? It's way smaller than It's one of those things. Remember when you were a kid that used to go to and you're like, oh, it was so big and amazing? I went there like maybe a year or two ago, and I had been there in probably 20 years.
It's kind of lost its luster.
It's totally. Yeah. It's like, I was like, this feels like an aquarium in somebody's house, dude. This is like a tiny little thing, dude.
It's still one of the biggest aquariums in the world, but it's you can walk the whole thing in an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
It's considered one of the biggest aquariums in the world?
In the world. It's one of the largest aquariums in the world.
Wow.
It is. I think it might even be top 5. I don't know. We should find out.
Wow. Doug, Google that. Top 5 aquariums in the
So
world.
like Monterey Bay Aquarium and then put biggest aquarium in the world and see what pops up. I love it there. I absolutely love it because it's just fascinating. I find so many of their...
What's your favorite, the jellyfish or the big tank?
So I love the jellyfish.
Yeah.
They're just...
one of my favorites.
They're weird.
Yeah.
It's
just
a weird,
aliens.
It's a weird organism.
Yeah.
Like that it's almost all water. You know that, right? Jellyfish are like almost no mass to them whatsoever. And yet they float around and like move their tentacles. It's pretty crazy.
What do they feed off of? Bacteria? What do they feed off?
Plankton.
No, yeah.
They eat lots of plankton.
Phytoplankton or whatever.
Yeah, and then my daughter loses her mind for the sea otters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just loses her.
Because they're too cute or what?
They look like little. Let's be honest.
They got little like beards.
They look like little teddy bears in the water.
Yeah.
They're fucking
they do.
adorable.
Little teddy bears.
They do. They look like little teddy bears if you look at them. And you know when they sleep together, if two of them sleep next to each other, they hold hands so that they don't float away from each other.
That's just ridiculous.
That's just too. It's too adorable.
Too much. Yeah.
The
shark needs to eat them to regulate.
No, dude. No.
It's too cute.
Oh, it's
to
number.
survive.
It's the 6th largest aquarium in the world.
Oh, see, not top 5. Wrong.
Damn.
Wrong again, Sal.
You know what's cool about?
I got you, motherfucker.
You know what's cool about?
I knew it wasn't top 5.
If I'm wrong, I'm always just wrong. It's never like very wrong. It's always just wrong. What's the number one biggest? Oh, you're scrolling down. Let's find out. I bet it's in China. How much you want to bet it's in China or somewhere in the Middle East, in Dubai? Oh, Dubai, second place.
Dubai, of course.
What's first place?
They get all the money
Dun,
there.
dun, dun. Oh, in Georgia? Is that in Georgia, like America?
I did not expect that.
Atlanta.
Wow, I didn't know they had the biggest.
I've been to the I think
We'll
it
have
was
to
the
put that on the list
Watershed
if we ever
Aquarium.
tour out there. Do we have anybody we
Chicago?
know? Do we have any podcasters out in Atlanta, Georgia?
In Atlanta?
Do we?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think so.
What goes on out
I don't
there?
know anybody.
Casino
in the
out there.
ATL.
It's a cool casino and aquarium. I'm down to go out there just for those 2 reasons.
I'm down.
Do they still make good hip hop music? Or are they done now? I'm looking at you, Adam, because you're always on the up and up.
Yeah, where's the hot spots
Well,
these days?
I'm not that much on the up and up where I know where these guys are born, dude. I don't know fucking know if who's. I'm sure, dude.
Because it was a thing for a while, right? It was East Coast, then West Coast, and then
You're thinking of Nelly.
Atlanta had like a. They had more than that, didn't they?
Hot Atlanta.
Yeah, no, I mean that whole crew that was attached to Nelly is all from that area.
What's his name? What's that little
Then you
dude
had
with
the Dirty South
with the
for a while.
big. He sounds like he's a big guy, but he's not. He's a little guy.
Little guys.
Ja Rule.
Oh, Ja Rule.
Wasn't he from there?
I don't know. He might be from there.
I haven't thought about that guy.
Neither have I. That was a good one right there.
Hey, you remember the first time
Pulled
seeing-
that one out. Resurrected that one.
Remember the first time you saw him? You're like, that guy makes that voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
he's
can't even emulate
He's
it.
tiny, dude.
It's like the lead singer of Pantera. Wasn't he a little guy too?
Yeah, Phil Anselmo. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, he wasn't that big.
Yeah,
but,
but you hear these guys' voice and you expect.
Oh yeah, he was an angry dude. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
You know, a lot of like famous actors, singers, a lot of them are really short.
Yeah.
It's really common. A lot of times in movies, they have to
Hollywood,
Hollywood shoots like special angles to make them look bigger than life when they're really these tiny little men.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Cruise
I feel like that was
always is
like,
on a
this
stilts
was
or something.
right. This was like God's way of balancing things out. Like, well, you got the short end of the stick with the height and the stuff. You're not very manly, but we're gonna make you super fucking famous.
But then, like Thor, that guy that plays Thor, I think he's like 6'2" or 6'3".
Well, he's a stud.
So he's,
Yeah.
then there's those guys.
Is
coming
he more of a stud than the guy that plays Superman, Henry Cavill?
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Henry. What else has Henry Cavill done?
What do you mean?
Like, what's his body of work?
I don't know.
Superman.
What else has Thor done?
A bunch.
Oh, he's done.
bunch of shit.
Yeah, he's been in quite a few movies.
Yeah.
Well,
Star
I'm talking
Trek.
about. Yeah. But I'm saying if you put them next to each other, you know what? So there's that scene in Superman where Henry Cavill has a
Totally
beard.
different guys though too. You're talking
Yeah,
about like
yeah,
you
yeah.
get
They're both
blonde
good.
hair, blue eyed versus
I like
the tall,
both of them.
dark, handsome, right?
Yeah.
I lean towards the opposite of what we've
talked about this before.
Yeah, we have talked about this before. Yeah, so I like the blonde hair, blue eyed guys.
That's more my thing.
Yes.
I got a taste for it.
Yeah. But I feel like Doug would like the tall, dark, and handsome guy.
Oh, you think?
Just because
the way he responds.
Just because I was his trainer.
Yeah.
I see.
He trained with me. What did you guys do? Didn't you go to a concert or something like that?
I did.
Did you end up going?
I went and saw Sam Hunt. First
say
time
that fast, it might be interesting.
No, it's his brother Mike.
Oh,
No,
Mike. Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. Thank you, Sal.
Sam Hunt is part of this R&B meets country music phenomenon that's been going on for the last probably 5 to 8 years, if I'm guessing. That's just
What does
throwing it
that
out.
sound like?
I actually like it, and so if you're a country purist, you don't like it, so you hate on it, which it reminds me of remember when Limp Bizkit came on scene and the whole rap and rock
right.
kind
Kid
of
Rock.
Right, Kid Rock. A lot of people don't like that. I am drawn to talent. Period.
Yeah.
I listen to all types of music. I don't think there is a kind of music that I don't listen to.
I like to actually be challenged musically.
Right, and
like get outside my comfort with it.
It was actually fucking really good, man. And I'm not like a diehard country
Is
listener.
it upbeat or is it slow?
Very upbeat. It's like hip hop meets country. It's very he looks like if Will Smith had a baby with George Strait. So that's what his music is. And it's he's got swag. He runs the stage pretty well. I had a great
Is
time.
it a country crowd or is it hip hop?
You
crowd?
remember Aaron
Country
Lewis from Stained?
Yes.
So he's full country now, and I love
Right.
his
So
shit.
that he originally was a country guy, and then they
went rock
They
and-
pushed him
yeah.
towards rock because they felt that he would be able to make a name for himself easier going that direction. But country is his, and I love his country actually. So he's
it's
somebody
really
who
good.
I
I just
do like.
can't. I can't get into country. I just
Why?
Can't. I don't know why. Just my girlfriend listens to it. She loves it, and I listen to it, and it's
You like Johnny Cash?
Johnny Cash. I do. Johnny Cash. I can dig.
That's always the first go to. If I ever somebody always gives me that I hate country. You like Johnny Cash, and you can kind of progress in that direction.
As a kid, right, as a really young kid,
Were you guys exposed to it?
yeah, I was later on, but as a young
I
kid,
hated it when I was younger.
So did I.
Yeah.
As a really young kid, I hated it. But like most things that I hated as a young kid, it was because I hadn't really truly experienced it. Right, I had maybe 1 or 2 experiences with it and turned it. I don't like it. But it's like when I got into high school, towards the end of high school, like junior, senior year, and I worked on the ranch, it was playing all the time. So there was, everybody I worked with listened to country. I'm driving a tractor, I have hay in my mouth. It just seemed appropriate to be listening to country and not fucking Nelly. Right. So
a nice dip in your mouth.
yeah, all that good stuff. So the small phase
Makes
of
me puke every time,
attempting
by
to
the
chew
way.
was
Oh, man.
during that time also.
You tried to chew?
For a short minute. Very short minute.
What did you chew?
What was it? Copenhagen?
I tried all of it, and I tried the little bags too. Like I did,
Oh, it's too strong.
yeah.
Every time
I tried a handful of times, and then when I realized that I was trying really hard, that I was like, okay, this is not a
I
good.
really want this in my life. Come on.
So
I
hold
want
on.
mouth cancer.
This is a great topic because I feel like everybody that gets into those habits tried to get that habit first. I don't think anybody ever smokes their first
It doesn't
cigarette.
come easy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody smokes their first cigarette or does their first chew and is like, this is fucking great.
Yeah, no,
I bet everybody's like, and they're like, well, no. Keep
No,
doing it. Keep doing it for about a week and then you'll like it. And you gotta,
I
try
can't speak on anybody else's experience, but my experience with tobacco in that sense, like as far as cigarettes, chew, all that, every one of those things that I attempted and tried, none of them were love at first sight. It was like I'll keep trying it because I want to be cool. It was at that age. It's like I'm doing it because I want to be cool and feel cool. Because back then it kind of was. Now it's totally different, right? Like now the generation coming up, you're like, oh my god, why would you do that? It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But our generation, we still were a part of the
where it was cool.
Marlboro Man was
Yeah.
still the man.
But that's what I mean. I feel like I don't think anybody ever does it and then loves it
Who
right
did we just
away.
meet? Who did we just meet that was related to the Marlboro Man?
Marlboro
I don't
Man?
know.
Yeah, I just met somebody. Who did we just? I just met somebody. I just met
Somebody came in here. I think I know who you're talking about.
I don't
just
remember who-
You
I-
want to talk about an advertising faux pas with that guy, huh? When he got lung cancer.
Well,
that was horrible for them.
Supposedly,
stick with the cartoon.
Supposedly,
camels.
he was a fucking stud. And
Yeah.
I don't remember who was connected. Anyways, whatever. But no, I went to Sam Hunt. Sam Hunt was. I also had Kendrick Lamar tickets, which I gave them away to.
Now, what kind of music's that?
That's hip hop.
Okay.
Yeah. And Kendrick Lamar, I've seen already.
I'm officially an old fucker.
He puts
I don't
on
know
a
who that
badass show, and I know the audience is listening is probably like giving me shit. Would give me shit if they found out that I passed on Kendrick Lamar and I went to Sam Hunt because I'm too old to do back-to-back concerts. I didn't get that in me. So one night of staying out till fucking 11 midnight and partying like that's just I can't.
So Sam Hunt was a country crowd.
Yeah.
Because I heard this is the not the rumor but the stereotype of country crowds that it's the hottest girl.
Oh, not even close, brother. The way beyond, like the best concert you've ever been to on like any other genre, like country smashes on it.
Yeah. Everybody says
beautiful women everywhere.
Everybody says that.
They just come out of everywhere. Yeah.
I think that's a prereq for hot chicks. Like you have to listen to country music. I think that's just part of it.
They like grow them there.
They do. Yeah, so Shoreline was covered in beautiful women, great music. It was a great crowd.
Covered.
Yeah, all over the place, everywhere.
Blanketed.
Yeah.
A sea of vagina.
Yeah.
Beautiful, glorious.
But I didn't go to Kendrick Lamar. We gave the tickets to the boys here. Like sent Taylor.
T-Dog.
Yeah, T-Dog.
Did he take draw with him?
He didn't, actually.
We need to get them like necklaces, so we can go to these concerts.
Drew was really upset that he didn't
draw.
go because he wanted to go, but he didn't stay past 4 o'clock on Friday for work, dude. That was the deal. The tickets were for the guy who puts in work.
We haven't, we haven't done yet. We haven't like hazed them. Well,
that was kind of a little haze right there.
But like a real one. Like let's take it back 40 years.
If you're a kid right now, he's 20 years old. If you're a 20-year-old kid, right, or 19, and you're a diehard Kendrick Lamar fan, and you missed out on tickets to the suite to watch Kendrick Lamar because you don't work very long, that's fucking digging on him a little bit. Yeah, it's digging on him a little bit. Dude. I think he was a little upset about that. Yeah. Teach him to work longer though.
Hey Justin, how's your chickens?
You know what?
Is it all good now?
Super, super productive.
Really?
Very, very. The very next day, every single one of them laid eggs inside the coop.
Oh my god!
The very next morning, and it's been that way consistently.
You know what? This is such an example,
dude. Let me tell you something.
Of life.
Let me tell you something. This was like a profound display of like psychology. Like it was like this. Just watching that, I was like, wow, it's so primitive, but like you could make so many metaphors and parallels from that.
This is how humans work too.
Yeah.
You know how many times I would get a team, I'd manage a team, and it was like I'd do my best, but there was that one person,
bad apple.
And you just know, like,
gotta get rid of him. He'll poison the rest of the team.
Yeah, you can't rehab him. You just have to. You just have to cut the cancer out.
Snap his neck.
You just gotta snap his neck, man.
You gotta snap his neck in front of everybody else, and then everybody straightens right up.
I had one situation
where
they're
like nice and loving, and none of them squawking.
So I had one situation where that actually happened, and I can't obviously name names, but I told you this story when we were in LA. When I got Hillsdale, when they re-grand opened, they put me in there. Mm-hmm. I had this one sales guy in there who had been with the company forever, and he was one of those old dinosaurs that was just, he wasn't old himself, but he was a dinosaur in the sense that he had that old mentality, didn't want to change, was kind of abrasive. He did what I told him, but kind of didn't at the same time. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like he was above the law type of thing. Well, man, that fucker, he used to party in the gym, and one day, I don't know what drug he took, and he took his shirt off and was running through the gym. And I was like, you're fired. Thank you for this opportunity to get you the fuck out of my gym.
Yeah.
It was so much better after that. So much better after that.
I don't know, man. I feel like that, I don't know. It had a lot of impact on me, mainly because, like, it's something that, like, it's uncomfortable, right? It's like I talked about this, about my process kind of leading up to that fact, but like
the chicken murder.
Yeah. But it's like, like I look at that on a deeper level and like just as like a visual example for me that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
It was powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's safe.
I didn't even smoke. You know what I mean?
I hiked on Sunday. We went up to Castle Rock. You been up there?
I told you about Castle Rock.
Oh, so you've been up there?
I think, was I the one that recommended you guys? We've been there now like 3 times.
Oh, really? Okay. So
I love Castle Rock. What a great place.
Yeah. The only thing that would suck for me is my allergies as you're going through like the kind of, it was beautiful though. It was a great hike.
Did you boulder? Did you do the bouldering?
No, I didn't do any of that. We just went and we did the 1, 2, 3, like the third or fourth challenging trail down. Like I think it was.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's the one we did.
It felt like I think it said 1.3 to 2.5 hours. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you? How about the views when you got to the
beautiful.
top?
Yeah, no, beautiful. I took some shots while I was up there. It was just gorgeous up there.
What a great hike.
You know, I had some thought. I always get what I like
time.
about the hikes too is it really does it gives me these random thoughts. And I had this thought that I wanted to ask you guys when I had you guys together because I'm not a father, and. You know, we've been talking a lot lately, and we have Tom Bilyeu coming in with the neuroscientists for Modius, the company Modius, and we're going to talk to them about this great tech tool and everything. And I've been thinking a lot about that since I've been reading this book, Irresistible, and I was talking to Andy about his book, Unplugged, and having him over here. And so this has been on my mind a lot, and I was thinking, you know, and I have some friends that are. You have kids that they actually started their Instagram really, really young, and they already have they're young, and they already have 3,000-4,000 followers, and you know, so I was thinking about this, and I know what's happening right now
they're
with
building their currency.
Well, exactly. So this is where I wanted to say something to you guys and hear your thoughts on this. And before you knee jerk and just react, I want you to really think about this. That okay. Do we believe, and I do, that the future of, you know, hiring somebody, that their social presence is going to be a major factor on whether they get a job or not because of how much, because if somebody has got 5,000 or 10,000 people following them, obviously they have the ability to influence. They're somewhat of a leader, whether it be good or bad, doesn't matter. They've got people that are following them, right? Would make them a leader in some respects. And then you have these companies that are looking for these type of people. And I think we're going to see more and more of that in the future as a prereq to get a job at some places. Yeah. And I wonder if, you know, as a parent, you think, oh my God, I don't want to do that right now. But are we helping them more or are we hindering them more?
I look at it, okay, I'll answer it this way, I guess. I look at it like Warren Buffett kind of treats his kids. Like he's got an endless supply of capital for them in any pursuit they ever wanted to go into. But he's very restrictive, and for a reason. He wants them to have their own experience. He wants them to build their own disciplines, build their own character, go through the same trials and tribulations, that he got to where he got. And I think that you can make an argument that it'll make their life easier by, aggregating all these Instagram followers or whatever the social platform is at the time. And, you could look at it like currency. I'm building up a savings plan, or this is a 401k or something at that point. Right. And I don't know. I guess I come from a different place with that, in that less for me. I know it's going to be an inevitability, because that's how people are going to interact. They're already doing that face to face, they're interacting through their phones, which is crazy. But it's just something that, it's new, and we're all going to have to kind of grow with it and see where it all goes. But I want to kind of pull the reins a bit with that until they can make their own, later on when you deem it's appropriate, right?
Now, when you say that, do you struggle with that process? Do you feel like you kind of go back and forth, fuck, you're saying it right now, but then I feel like, was that just a decision and you made that, or is it fuck, should I not?
Yeah, no, I thought along those lines, because me and Sal talked about this too, about exposure even for kids and all the predators that. This endless sea of predators that are just there, at a whim, and how much information are we really wanting to put out there of our private lives?
There's so many different questions pop up for me with that, and so many different feelings. And I try to be as objective as possible. And the things I wonder,
which is hard when you're the parent, by the way.
That's right.
That's why I wanted to challenge him.
But not only that, but not only we parents, but we're also social media. We have a large social media presence, and we have a large podcast presence. So it's different for my kid than it would be for someone else. If you're a celebrity, I'm not one of these big celebrities. Let's say you're Tom Cruise, putting your kid out there is very different than
Well,
if you're
so,
just
and I
average
want
person.
what would spark this. So I have friends that would be considered that, like NFL stars or, celebrity type people where they have huge followings. They've started their kids, and their kids now have thousands of followers and
So
stuff.
so I wonder first, number one, who the fuck is following these little kids? How old are they kids? Do you know?
Yeah, they're like, they look to me like they're somewhere around 9 to 11 years
Right.
old.
So who's following a 9-year-old's social media page? It's not a bunch of 9-year-olds, or maybe it is, maybe not. One thing that we're starting to realize now with the internet is that the dark side of the internet is massive. It's huge. There are countless pages that are created where they're like hubs for pedophiles, and they'll do stuff like.
Now you're going to say that, and this is me just totally playing devil's advocate and challenging your thought process to help you be more objective, because on this show multiple times you've said that we live in the safest time we've ever lived in. And, that to me, when you say something like that, it sounds almost like a parent who's like, there's no way I would let my kids stay outside and play past dark because it's so dangerous outside. But is it really more dangerous?
So if you're, first off, I just don't like the thought of feeding that with my kid. So whether nothing happens to them or not, I don't like the thought of it. So it just bothers me. But the second thing is, if you have some type of celebrity and your kid is out there, that is a place that's where someone can target you. And we've seen that happen in the past, and the odds are still small. But even besides all that, forget all that. Like, I don't know, man. What kind of currency are they building with a following from being a 9-year-old? Like, what are they doing?
Well,
I feel like a lot of people are following because they're fans. Hold on, because they're fans of their parents, and it's just more of this like, I'm doing everything for my kid, type of attitude and mentality. When kids need to kind of be kids a little bit sometimes, and posting their picture out on social media. That's some of my feelings behind it. Like, what is that going to really build for them? And like Justin
let's talk
like,
about that. And I've thought about this. This is why I wanted to bring it up. Is I imagine the roles are reversed, and I have a dad or a mom who's somewhat of a celebrity, or they have a large following, and they start my Instagram page when I'm 7 years old or whatever. And now I'm in, 4th and 5th grade and interacting with other kids, and I have a 3,000 or a 5,000 following. I would think that kid probably has a much easier time making friends and is probably going to start off pretty damn popular right away and so you could argue.
It's so creepy to think about. I just see that as like, no, I see like popularity by following, right? So that's like a new metric that kids are going to totally respond
absolutely.
to.
And so if
that's crazy.
Wait, hold on, let me finish here, because you're already trying to challenge it. And I'm trying to tell you right now that this is the part that maybe you haven't thought all the way through is. And you holding them from it. Let's say you're a parent who's like, absolutely not. Till my kid is a certain age, they're not going to be able to do these type of things. And because of that, you've now pigeonholed your kid as the less. He's not going to be cool, and he's not going to have any friends because he doesn't even have a social presence at all. And popularity will be considered. That will be a. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, this will be another
standard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Another standard that people will use as if you're cool or not cool as a young kid growing up. And as a father, am I, by telling them no, they can't because of my own fears of, them predators looking at them or doing these things, that I'm not allowing him to build a social following that could potentially make his school life a little bit easier and popularity.
Okay, so we're talking about a 9-year-old because that's the age that you gave.
Well, no, I mean, it could be any age. It doesn't need to be. We don't need, those are semantics.
Okay, whatever. It's a kid. It's a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you this, Adam. How well do celebrities that are kids, celebrity kids, not kids of celebrities, but celebrity kids, how well do they do in life typically later on?
Well, in the past, we have definitely had a lot of those types of kids that end up getting hooked on drugs and have all kinds of issues.
That's right. That's right. So putting your kid out there, let's say you do a great fucking job. Now your kid gets 1 million followers on Instagram. Did you do them a favor? I think there's two sides to this that we need to look at, and we need to be very careful with it. And I think if you're a parent and you do it with your kids, you're not hurting them. That's fine. That's totally up to you. I just think I'm not just going to look at the positives. I'm going to look at the potential negatives.
Well, of course.
If I'm a 10-year-old, look, I remember when I was 10, 11, 12, 13, with my insecurities, if I was out on social media with all these people watching me, I don't have the maturity Like, it's a struggle now. I'm a 38-year-old man putting my shit out on social media, having people watch me and comment on my stuff. I couldn't imagine being a 13-year-old with a troll being like, your legs are small, or you're ugly, or you're stupid, or I don't like what you're saying, or your page is dumb, or whatever. Like, you're putting your kid in a position where we've never been in this situation before.
Well, that's why it's fun to me. That's why it's fun to speculate about, because I don't think any of us in this room could be right or wrong. I think that you bring up incredibly valid points about this that are definitely concerns. But I'm always trying to challenge the way I think about things, and I would 100% agree with you guys on the way you feel. But then I also think, like, I never thought of it from the other side, like being a kid growing up, and maybe my dad doesn't let me have those things, and now I'm at a school where I'm trying to make friends and be cool, and nobody thinks I'm cool because I can't. My dad doesn't let me have an Instagram, and everybody else does, and this kid's.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but look, I tell you what, there's a lot of things that make you cool in school that good parents will tell you no. Okay, there's just a lot of things. Like even when we were kids, there were things that, you know, if you didn't do it, you weren't cool like everybody, but your parents made a smart decision by not letting you do those types of things.
Well,
but
what are you thinking of? Like,
anything, drugs, buying you a shit ton of clothes.
Yeah, I think that's a bad comparison.
Hey, like not having all the best clothes all the time, or having an awesome car, like, buy your kid a BMW right away just because it makes them cool.
Okay, so yeah, the clothes would probably be a better parallel. I think that's fair, like stylish clothes.
And the other thing you got to think about,
it'd be like you being a parent who doesn't allow your kid to buy.
That's right. And there's a big difference too. We need to look at, why are these people following your kid? Mm-hmm. Is it because they're cute? Because that, I think, is stupid. I think that's horrible. I think that's a horrible way to have a child identify with their value. Is your 9-year-old a musician? Are they creating something?
Yeah, but
are they creating a business? That's fine. I think that's awesome.
Is the answer, though, to not allow them to do it, or is it kind of teach them and educate them? Because eventually they're going to be a part of it no matter what.
Oh, shit. If my 9-year-old, if my kid is 9 and my kid's like, Dad, I got this idea for a business, or I want to play the guitar and I want to put it on, social media or whatever, like, that's different. If it's like, I'm cute, I'm just going to post pictures of myself and whatever, and get all these followers, like, there's no doubt in my mind, and I don't know the situation, but if you're a child of a celebrity and you have 10,000 followers, I'm sure a lot of the people following you is because they're fans of your parents. And then they're following you for what? Like, just to look at you, to see, like, do you do anything of value? When you look at celebrities, you can see the celebrities that did a good job with their kids and the ones that didn't. And a lot of times, the ones that did a bad job are the ones that put their kids out all the fucking time. Look at some of these dysfunction among some of these children. And then look at some of these kids, like, whether you like or hate Donald Trump, his kids, he did a fucking great job. Like, they're very smart business people. He did a good job raising them in that particular sense. Arnold Schwarzenegger's got children that you don't hear a whole lot about as well. They tend to be more balanced and more functional. And then you've got other parents where kids they blast them all over the place. And that's tough for a kid to grow up in. I think most child psychologists will tell you, like, putting your kid in modeling, putting your kid in commercials, TV, movies, like, that's a very scary
I also
situation.
think that you're overgeneralizing a lot of things right now, and I think that comparing modeling and those type of stuff to social media, which has become a much different norm, and you have to understand that we were part of a generation that didn't have that and then now has it, so we have a different kind of perspective than somebody who is born into that, like at your kid's age, where you could potentially be denying something that's just so normal to them. It's not like what these examples that you're giving right now. Those are more extreme examples, when this is just simply, Dad, I just want to be on Instagram and be able to.
Yeah, it's a tough one, man, because
everybody's going to have their own approach. At the end of the day, I think what makes us more comfortable is being able to restrict that as much as possible until they have more of an adult type of a brain to deal with that kind of attention.
Yeah, and normal is a shitty metric.
Yeah.
It's just a shitty fucking metric.
Yeah,
when people say,
I agree with that.
It's normal. Everybody's doing it. We need to shut up with that bullshit. I hate that shit when people say it, because what's normal is eating garbage food, is fucking sitting down on your ass all day long. It's being these are things that were normal when we were kids.
Yeah, but as a child's mind, I'm speaking from a child's perspective when I say something like that. I agree with you.
Yeah, they're gonna have to deal with it. Like, you're gonna have to deal with your dad that tells you, "I'm sorry that everybody's doing that shit, but I'm going to place certain parameters. You have to be careful, obviously, with those types of parameters. But there's a lot of things that are normal that are just terrible that kids do, and I'm going to be in the minority, and it sucks because it's unfortunate that the minority of parents are parenting a certain way, and that a majority are parenting another way. It's just, I'll tell you what, man. Go look at the average kid's school lunch and look at what they pull out of their backpack. It's a bag of gummy bears and a bag of Ritz crackers and and it's shit. And it's that's normal.
No doubt. I mean, now you're taking it a different direction and compared to different things. I think just simply asking yourself, like, could I actually, as much as I think I am protecting or helping them, could I, and ask yourself this, could I potentially be hurting him or her more by not allowing them to start something that could, like Justin said earlier, it's like this investment that you're making.
Now, see, I'm with you on that. And I think the smart thing to do would be to sit down, honestly, and I've already thought about this, is to sit down with my kid. My son just turned 12. And to say, hey, let's sit down and come up with some ideas. Mm-hmm. I've already been talking to him. So this is a conversation I've already been having with my son. Not because he's begged me to go on these platforms, but I've explained to him what a sales funnel is on the internet. I've explained to him how people do business on the internet. I've explained to him how these pages on Instagram, pages on Facebook, and on YouTube make money. In fact, we had a conversation in the car yesterday on the drive to the aquarium where he was saying, he came up with an idea, and he's like, oh, you know how much you can make money on YouTube? And he came up with this idea, and he says, you'll get millions of views, and that's how you make money. And so we sat down, and I said, okay, and he understands advertising. That's how he thinks people make money on YouTube. He's like, advertising. I said, yeah, it's one way, but you need a ton of views, a huge audience to make a lot of money with advertising. I said, the way you make money on YouTube is if you sell your own product. You don't need nearly as many. So then we had a great conversation about that. Now that I would support 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we could sit down and do that together, and that'd be a nice thing, bonding, thing. Between
right. That
two.
Makes me think too, because I actually had a conversation with my oldest, and he's only 7, but he loves just building Lego. Like he just creates now. He's in a place where he just like can create something new every day. And he actually asked me about like videoing that and like having one a day. So if I just had him showing that. And like that's totally something valid. People could watch this timeline of progression,
and it's feeding into his passion, right?
Yeah,
I could totally see.
I could do that. Yeah.
I could totally get behind. If I had a kid who had a passion for something that they really liked, like to me, and that's what it's really like. I think that's part of our jobs as parents, right? I'm not one, but if I was a parent, I think is to find the things that your kids are passionate about and they love, and then helping support that. And maybe that's a way of doing that, like you're bringing up right now. I think that would be, I bet it would draw lots of attention too. I think lots of people would follow, because we've already seen some of these kids, they get huge followings from unwrapping presents or building certain Lego things. And, maybe it's a timeline video or, check out this cool thing that I made out of Legos or whatever, but it's something he loves to do. He's passionate about, a way that he can build whether it be a reputation or a following, whatever you want to fucking call it, it allows him to have access to something that maybe we would consider denying him or her because they're too young or we don't think that's right. When in reality, we are in the middle of watching this huge shift of that being very much so the norm, to the point where, a job like ours, here we are, we just hired 2 employees on. And I tell you what, if we had somebody equally talented as the 2 young men that we brought on staff, but the other 2 applicants had 50,000 Instagram followers, I think each of us would agree that we probably would hire the one with, if all things were equal, right? Their talents were equal, what they could bring to the table, but because they had this large social presence, and our job, our business, definitely that would help it. I think a lot of businesses would benefit from large networks and followings of employees. Imagine if you're a bar owner, and this was the thought that came to me, is like, man, I'm hiring a total of 10 bartenders are going to work at my bar. Of course, they have to serve drinks. They need to have that skill set. Hopefully, they're attractive people, charismatic. All those things matter. But man, if all 8 bartenders that I hired all had 10,000 followers or above, like what would that potentially do for my business?
I actually already, I was watching something. I don't know if it was a documentary, but they're talking about like old bands and how they used to travel, and like book all these gigs. And like, I think it was somewhere in Australia, but like they're talking about like all this guy does now for promotions. Like he doesn't work with like Aerosmith and, all these like big name bands anymore. He completely just focuses on these people that have a million following or, a couple 100,000 following. Cause then it's like insanely predictable. People show up every single time when these internet celebrities come to town, and it's like made him like 10x his business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Which is crazy, but it makes perfect sense.
Also, I wonder how much it's going to change. You know what I mean? Like, as that becomes the way celebrities are created, because it's starting to become like that, right?
Right.
It's starting to become like pretty soon Hollywood and music and all that stuff is going to be. Celebrities aren't going to come from there. It's going to be all through these type of mediums. I wonder if that's going to make it more difficult to kind of build a brand like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
To shine when everybody's putting it on
again,
them.
This is what brings me to this thought. Like, and I think the longer that we hold our kids back from them being able to do that, the further behind they're going to be, because I think it's going to be very competitive. I think that, and think of that from a job perspective, I think that literally you're going to look at 8 bartenders, but I'm looking at 20 bartenders. I only need 8. All of them are good, but these ones have this big of a presence, like they're getting hired. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer that I'm going to hire them because of that. And that obviously that's just one example I'm using. And I think that it applies to many jobs out there. I guess
a lot of it just depends on what you're doing with that. You know what I mean? How you built your page. Like if it's just if there's something, something behind it besides just the way you look. Unless you get into a field related to that. But I could imagine a girl who's got an Instagram page with 100,000 followers, and it's all because she's showing off her body, and then she's like, I want to become a lawyer or I want to become a doctor. Like that might do the opposite. I don't know. It might do the exact opposite.
Absolutely. And this is part of the time. I think as a parent, I think these are the type of conversations that you're helping your young kid.
Try and steer them too,
right, exactly. Instead of like holding it away from him, not letting him exposing him early, but then teaching him early on that
Well, you'd be surprised. You hold them back as much as you want. My kids teach me shit about.
I know. Yeah.
They know more than I do about uploading videos and and they don't even have their own channels.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a good thing. Like I said, I've already thought about doing this. I'm not pushing it, but I'd like to work with my kid and have them create something.
For
and
sure.
Even if it doesn't work, which the odds, of course, are it probably won't. But the amount of learning you get from that process. Imagine starting your own business at that age through these
it would
these
be
channels.
really cool.
Well,
exactly.
Just got my wheels spinning already just from what Justin said. Imagine if like your boy is really good at this and like a lot of people start following.
Like that little, I was thinking about that and I was like, that's not a bad idea.
Right, and opens the door for him to potentially, you could teach him how to make money before the kid's even like 16 years old. He
Partner
could
with Legos.
Right. And as a dad who has a lot of pull in this arena, you may be able to provide an opportunity for him and teach him at the same time, right? You could give him a lesson in business.
Yeah, if he wants it. Yeah.
Right,
so
right.
Obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was just
interesting.
that was one of my hiking high thoughts that I had that I thought I'd share with you guys and see what you thought.
Sparked an interesting conversation.
Not that at all that I disagree with you. I just thought that it would be, I knew it was challenging for me to think about it. I couldn't imagine how challenging it has to be for fathers like you guys to have to.
I don't think a lot of people have even thought about this kind of stuff yet.
Right. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I bet you there's a ton of parents that are just like no or yes about it, and they don't really think all the way through.
I think majority of parents, you get a lot of the no's, and then a lot of parents are just that don't care.
Yeah,
I don't even think it's a yes.
disconnect. Yeah,
they just don't care.
Yeah,
they just let their kids do whatever.
Right, I think being
which is bad no matter what.
Right,
you know what I mean, you leave your kids and just be like, you don't give a shit.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what they do. It's probably not a good thing. You know what we forgot to mention was, don't we have like an email coming out or something people need to register for, Doug? What do we got going on?
Yeah, this Thursday we're having a flash sale.
Oh shit.
Kaboom!
But it's a surprise.
It's going to be
a surprise.
Not like Sal flashing in front of the red lights.
Right. So if you want to get notified about the flash sale, you need to sign up for the 30 days of coaching.
Okay, so
if you haven't already done that, then do that.
So go to mindpumpmedia.com and just sign up for it.
Exactly.
And then we're going to send out an email for a 1-day flash sale.
And some people that have been listening for a long time, I've just had someone today, I didn't even know you guys have this. So the 30-day, it's free coaching. So it's 30 days of free coaching. So it's not like it's some gimmick where we're trying to sell you something or whatever. It's completely free. Sign up for it. I think everybody should have access to it. And then if you're on that list, you're automatically on our mailing list, and then Doug will send that out next week, which is cool. We also need to mention too our sponsors. Organifi just sent their cool shipment.
We got
in.
a ton of boxes. Man.
Yeah, we got all kinds of good stuff. Which Doug brought up something this weekend. I think would be a brilliant idea. I know we haven't completely solidified exactly what we're going to do, but maybe now that we have a really solid, good sponsor like Organifi, that we do some sort of a giveaway with them like we have done with the T-shirts. I think that would be a brilliant idea.
Well, if you're on the fence to try it out, this would be a good way.
Why don't we do like where they do a
stab.
post or something and they do some kind of a hashtag?
Yeah, I think we should discuss exactly like how we lay it out. But Doug brought that up this weekend, and I thought that would be fucking really cool. We've already done something for the reviews on iTunes. I think doing some sort of a giveaway with, like you're saying, Instagram or something like that. But we'll figure that all out. We'll put it together. But if you guys haven't tried out the Organifi, and I can't wait, we just got the red juice in, which I haven't tried yet. I've been on using the green juice, it's been a tradition now. Every weekend we're starting to.
I saw you made those green.
Yes,
pancakes,
the mint chip pancakes. I love it because I get the protein inside of it. Plus I get and I'll be the first one to admit that on Sunday morning breakfast, not a lot of greens are typically in my morning breakfast, and I also get a late start, like at noon. By the time I'm 11 to noon,
you just eat the pancakes just like that by themselves.
Pancakes, and I have a little bit of syrup on them, and then I have my my bacon with it.
I wonder how they would taste if you put butter in them and rolled them up. Ate them like that.
Oh, they would be bomb. Although those ones, I think the magic is in the mint flavor with the dark chocolate chips. So it has we did them by themselves, and they were all right by themselves. But I was like, yeah, they have this. Pancakes aren't supposed to have this minty flavor to them, so it is different. If you're gonna have pancakes and you want traditional pancakes, it's different. But if you put the chocolate chips, you get these like this mint chocolate chip flavor when you're having pancakes.
All right, I'll make them this week.
To me, that's killer. Doug, bring on the burn.
This clause brought to you by Organifi. For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's ORGANIFI.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout. Our first question is from Payden Cannon. Would different styles of CNS training such as isometrics and plyos be good for trigger sessions?
Hell yeah, absolutely. So trigger sessions.
Just be careful not to.
Yeah, we'll get into that. So
yeah, especially with plyos.
So trigger sessions, for people that don't know, a trigger session are these kind of mini. I hate to call them workouts because they're not meant to be workouts, but mini sessions that you do on your off days. And the goal of the trigger session is to maintain the muscle building signal from the previous day, which was set with the heavy workout. Typically, they're about 8 minutes long. The goal is to get a little bit of a pump in the muscle, a little bit of a burn, and you do them frequently throughout the day. So you're supposed to do about 3 of them throughout the day. And they're extremely, extremely effective. In fact, I had not done trigger sessions consistently for a long time. I was doing other types of frequency builders. Went back to trigger sessions recently, and it always blows me away. It always blows me away by how well my body responds. Just more muscle, more body fat loss, all that stuff. Now, trigger sessions are part of a category that goes into all of our program that we call frequency builders. Okay, so trigger sessions are found in MAPS Anabolic, but like in MAPS Aesthetic, we have focus sessions, which are similar but different. In MAPS Performance, we have mobility sessions. And in MAPS Anywhere, we have what are called AMP sessions. And what they are is they are designed to give you more frequency to your workouts. And the goal with the frequency is also to minimize damage to muscle. Okay, because you're adding these to your already kind of almost complete intense routine. So if you're doing like 3 days a week of full body, well, now you have, another three or 4 days a week that you can add frequency. But because you've already had 3 hard full body workouts, you don't want to necessarily tear muscle down. You just want to throw in some frequency. So that's how I would treat them if you did isometrics and plyos. On those days in between, don't do them super intense, but just train the sequence, train the recruitment pattern.
I was definitely going to reiterate that because you definitely want it for that fact. You want it for the frequency of stimulating your body to produce those types of movements or that type of response from your central nervous system. But you should be, let's for instance with plyometrics, if your goal is to get really powerful and explosive in those jumping type movements, that should make its way in high intensity, within your workout. The ones in between, we want to keep that reasonably light. So that's more if you're using it for like the frequency of it, because you going from, heavy max lifting days, not max lifting, but you know what I mean? Like foundational days, like 3 times a week. And then in between, if you're doing super explosive, high intensity plyometrics, we're going to get some diminishing returns.
How do you feel about, Justin, since this is kind of your area, what about instead of doing plyos like you normally would, where you're just trying to explode, what if on the trigger session days, you're just trying to perfect your technique and your
minimal
patterning?
reps, exactly. So I mean, you obviously want to
just like practice.
Yeah, it's to get fast with it, because really what you're trying to do is get more acceleration. So your ground forces play into effect, right? You have to be able to get that coiled response and then get as much acceleration as possible. But like you're doing it in such a way where there's not a whole lot of reps you're doing in a row. You're really perfecting the signal of that and honing in on it. So that's like your focus.
Isometrics would be perfect. That'd probably be the best.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like the answer is obviously yes, but I think that how I would decide this would be based off my goal, right? So, I think using triggers with isometric. Okay, I'll show you how I would use like isometric, plyo, and then our traditional way that we use it. If I am more aesthetic based and I am areas that I'm trying to develop on my body, like I want better biceps or better shoulders, I'm sticking more towards the traditional way that we have incorporated trigger sessions, where I'm just standard bicep and shoulder type movements to get that added frequency and added pump and more recovery, all the benefits we talk about. If I am trying to correct something like a bad recruitment pattern that I have, or for example, for me, the retraction depression of my shoulders, I think I would incorporate, and I'm really trying to work on an imbalance maybe that I have and address some issues. I would probably use the trigger sessions for isometrics. I would do a lot of isometric stuff and be treating it kind of like our fortification sessions that we have inside of Prime. So, and then lastly, if I was like an athlete who is, or even if I wasn't like a professional athlete, but I play basketball on the weekends, or I'm playing sports still, and I want to improve upon my explosiveness and some of the stuff Justin was just talking about, I think I'm using my triggers, plyos in my triggers. So to me, my goal that I'm trying to achieve is what would dictate how I'm using these triggers. And I think absolutely the answer is yes, you can use all those things, but I also think that I would prioritize them around whatever my priority is, out of those.
For sure. Like you want to be like, you want it to benefit whatever goal you have going into it. And I think from, I just thinking of it too, like explaining like isometrics, how I would use that in more of a performance related goal. Like I want to make sure that I'm going to use this more to teach my body to get super, super comfortable in depth or ranges of motion that I know I'm going to express on the field. Or so now I want to solidify my force stabilization. So if I get like lateral forces, I really want to solidify the fact that I'm stable. And so that's one way I'll use it too from a sports perspective. And then the other, like I mentioned, depth, or like in my squat, I really want to hone in on the weakest part of my lifts, and then get that signal super strong going in.
I wonder if this person is an athlete. Did you happen to look at their
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No. Isometrics, by the way, one of the most overlooked, underrated types of training. Period. Like
I love that we talk about it, especially Justin, and of course with the Axon stick, because
it's so underrated.
Yeah, that and frequency, I think, are two big things that I incorporate now in my 30s that I never really did in my early 20s, just because lack of information and knowledge in the area, and I didn't realize what a difference.
You know who benefits?
10 to 15 degrees of strength from the joint. So in either direction. So
it's huge.
That's
huge. Besides performance, because you're seeing athletes.
Where did you get that right there? Where did that come from?
There's some studies that
bunch of studies
saying
sharing
that.
them.
So basically, it can increase the joint mobility by 10 to 15 degrees, or you're saying 10 to 15% strength?
Yeah.
Wow.
It carries over 10 to 15
wow,
degrees.
that's a big difference.
Yeah. So whatever isometric position you're strengthening, you actually gain strength in a broader range. So isometrics is today being used more by, I think, athletes you're starting to see. But you know who benefits a lot from isometrics that don't use, and they don't use them at all? Bodybuilders.
Oh yeah.
Bodybuilders could have.
Well, they do when they're posing.
Posing, but not like the way you should use isometrics, right? Isometrics are phenomenal for bodybuilders, primarily because bodybuilders almost never in their training, except for maybe the squeeze, do they ever stop a position in or a rep? You don't, like, for example, when you see a bodybuilder do shoulder press, it's always kind of this pumping motion, and I know why, because they want the pump, they want the burn. But you give them some heavy dumbbells, have them lock out and hold with tension for time, and watch what happens to the development of their delts. I mean, it's a training tool that doesn't cause a lot of muscle damage.
Yeah.
So the good thing about that is you could just throw it in. You can throw in some isometrics to your routine and watch what happens. And the old timers used to do them all the time. I mean, the old bodybuilders of back in the day used to talk about holding the squeeze for long periods of time. That was primarily how they used them. But even before that, isometrics was a staple. And I can't think of, there's very few things I can think of that you could just add to your routine that are going to give you like pretty traumatic results. Isometrics is one of them. So I just want to make sure I say that because it's one of those overlooked things.
Definitely.
Quick commercial break, you guys. We keep getting asked all the time, how can I support the Mind Pump family? Here's one of the best ways you guys can. You guys love that Chimera coffee that we have. Chimera Coffee with a K. You go to chimeracoffee.com, put in the discount code MindPump for 10% at the checkout. If you guys have not tried Ben Greenfield's new bars out, they're fantastic. If you want some, go to bengreenfieldfitness.com/naturebite, put in the code MindPump and get 10% off. Go check it out.
Next question is from Joseph X95. Sal talked about how good he was at working the floor. Can you guys share some of your tactics that made you successful?
So he's talking about
work that floor.
Yeah, he's talking about as a personal trainer.
Wearing his high heels.
Yeah, exactly. Working the floor is when you are literally on the gym floor and you're trying to build your business through it by getting clients. Okay, so one of the easiest things I can tell you to become successful at working the floor is learn how to use the front desk. The easiest place in the world on the floor, and the front desk is part of the floor, at getting clients is the front desk, because people walk in, you check them in, instant connection, instant ability to be able to talk to them, ask them questions. The second thing I could say to you is learn how to use your intercom, over the loudspeakers, if your gym allows you to. And if you do a good job, they'll want you to use the intercom on a regular basis, because a very, very quick, easy, well done announcement. Attention members and guests, we have 5 free personal training sessions available at the front desk, going on a first come, first served basis. Come book them up here with Justin, before they're gone. And within 20 minutes, you'll have 5 assessments.
Super
booked.
effective, yeah.
Super easy. Those 2 things alone, super easy. They don't require you to be crafty with how you approach people. We'll talk about that too, but that requires more skill. Like I'd have trainers just sit at the front desk and scan people, and I'd tell them, when you scan people, ask them what they're working on. that day. You know, like, hey, what are you working on today? Oh, I'm going to do a little legs. Oh, awesome. What the exercise? Oh, let me show you this new exercise. And just walk back with them and take them through a couple exercises, and you've got your intro right there. Very, very easy.
I think a lot of people struggle with this because of the pressure of trying to make the sale. You know, as they're like, okay, I got to go talk to people on the floor.
That's a great point.
And I've got to make this sale. So there's this pressure in the back of your mind that, like, the whole purpose of why you're talking to this person is to eventually sell them on personal training. And, you know, and it wasn't until I think after Justin, so I don't think Justin ever experienced with me teaching my trainers this, but this was something I started to put together later on as I realized how many trainers struggle with this because they put so much pressure on themselves. They're already not very charismatic and outgoing, and then on top of that, their boss is telling them to walk the floor and go pull people off the floor and sell them training, and it was just like, it was so daunting. And because I'm a numbers guy and I would track all the stats on how many people I would need to talk to before I could book X amount of appointments that would turn into X amount of dollars, I would teach this process to somebody. So I would give a simple goal like this. I'd have a trainer and I'd say, okay, get yourself one of those little journals that you get from CVS for, $2 or whatever. And you're going to meet 5 people today. And I don't want you to try and sell them anything. All I want you to do is to meet them, say hi, introduce yourself, and find out something about them, anything, whether it be the surgery they just recently did, how many children they have, their wife, their job, whatever it is. Your goal is just to talk to them and actually find out one thing about them. No pressure to sale. Don't book them an appointment. None of that stuff. That happens. It happens. But your goal right now is just to meet people. But then I would tell them, as soon as you meet that person and you learn something about them, their name and something about them, I want you to walk back over to where my office was, write in the journal, okay, I just met Justin. He has 2 boys, ages this and this, and then we'll go back on the floor. And so you would do that and you would gather that. And so I would make these trainers and the reason why I'd make them write it down was because I knew that if they didn't, they would probably forget some of this information. Plus, I'm setting them up for later on. So once they would do this, they would start to build this list. After a couple of weeks of doing this, they'd have a list of 30, 50, some of them 100, depending on how active you are, of people with all these names and something to remind you about them. And then the next time you saw them come in, you'd go over, reference your journal, Justin, 2 boys, and then your goal would be to go over there, walk up, say hi, and mention that fact that you learn about that person. What that does for you, that person will be blown away that you remembered their name and you actually remembered something about them. Now, some people are gifted and have a natural skill of doing this. Sal would be an example of somebody who has this incredible memory and talent and charisma to do this without it. But what I learned as I was managing all these trainers was Sal is 1 in 100 people that I get to, if that, actually, probably more like 1 in a million. There's very few people that have his talent, and so I
a big head now.
I had to learn.
I take off my headphones.
I had to learn to teach this skill set to people that did not have this natural charisma and ability, and I had a lot of success with what I'm telling you right now. So they would go in and they would do that. It is much easier to ask for money from somebody who you've built in a relationship with before. And I used to love this quote I used to keep on my desk: nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So you may have all this found knowledge in fitness and nutrition and all this great stuff to give to them to then turn around and get them to buy from you. But if you first show them how much you care, asking for that money or being able to provide that service for them becomes very easy for you to do, but you got to put the work in. And so making this list and then following up on them the next time they come in, more often than not, that second time you have that conversation with them, it's very easy to book them for a free appointment with you. If you still have a challenge, that's okay. Then you work that lead and you talk to them a 3rd time and a 4th time. But if you're actually strategic about it and you actually take the time to write this stuff down, you'll solidify it in your brain so you remember better. You'll have something to reference, because I guarantee you're going to see faces that, I forgot his name, I forgot his kid's name. You'll forget those things because how many people you talk to inside a gym, and if you start to do that, it'll make your job a lot easier.
Quick question, because something's dawning on me right now. When did you leave 24 when you were managing the big gyms?
What year?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's back up 2000 and I want to say 11 or 12, somewhere around there.
So you know what's dawning on me?
11, 12 or
I haven't managed a gym, a big box gym, in a long time, and the people that were working out with headphones on, almost impossible. It was very difficult to approach them. Is that increased? That has to, right?
I'm sure.
I don't think anybody listens to
Nobody
the music
listens
in the
to
loudspeakers.
overhead music anymore.
Is it like that now? It is, isn't it?
I don't know if it's
When you go to Gold's, are a lot of people just in their shit?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's any different than what it was before. I feel like they're more obvious because it's very popular. It's popular
more
to have
DJ'd.
Yeah, right. But I mean, fuck.
the reason why
Walkman and Discman have been around for a long time, and people have been listening to music while they work out.
you know why I'm asking is because now it's on your phone.
Remember Discman, like trying to work out with that piece of shit.
Skipping.
Well, I remember if we changed the music in the gym and people don't like it, people would be pissed.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
still
don't even
think
think
like a
people
riot.
Do people even care
Yeah,
anymore?
they do. That still exists.
do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that still exists, and there's still people that don't wear headphones. I mean, there's
old-timey people.
I don't know.
Just walk up to them and
It's
unplug
probably
their shit.
increased. It's probably increased and does make that challenging. I think for sure. Which again, I think would make it even more important for you to do something like this because nobody wants to be interrupted when their headphones are in their ear and then also try to be sold something.
I think what you guys both said is on point, and I think so this reminds me of like when didn't we have to wear like a yellow shirt at one point? Okay, so
What?
Yeah, Adam
must have
had
changed
us
it.
wearing.
Whoa! Don't say Adam. That was a company.
Okay, fine. Yeah, it was brought down from you. I don't know.
What they so let me tell you what they did because I remember before and after. So the trainers used to have what were called fit hours that everybody had to work. Sal, you remember this, where a trainer was allotted a certain amount of time every week where he would work the floor or do fit appointments, free appointments where people would come in and they would test drive a trainer. Well, you would have this 4-hour block. What they wanted was if you didn't have a client, if you didn't go and book somebody in with you and you had a free hour, you would put on this yellow jersey and work the floor. And it said, I'm a trainer, need help.
Which they made it easier in a sense for like these people that had a hard time.
God.
They basically gave
cheesy.
him a baby shirt.
Yeah,
Here's
super
your
cheesy.
bib.
Only lasted about a year or two.
I'll tell you what though, if I was knowing me, if someone came up to me and asked me for help,
I took advantage.
I know.
of it.
I was like
all day.
Really?
And that's the thing. Like this is coming from me. This has been more of a challenge, than the both of you. But at a certain point, I'm very much of an observer, and so just being around people that have this sort of rapport with people, I would constantly watch the way that people would interact, with other trainers and management and all that, and so I would actually naturally just picked up a lot of those things that you guys mentioned. Like I figured out that like, okay, I'm just going to talk to them about whatever's on the TV or, whatever, like, and it'll naturally, I'll just remember the conversation I had. And then I would bring up the conversation related to that subject and I would talk to them again about it. But then I evolved and learned to kind of hang out around the front desk. And, instead of just sitting there, I looked and saw whoever's name it was, and I would actually take their card, scan them in, like repeat their name back to them. And then before they left, I made sure and said their name as they're leaving. So that way we still maintain that connection going forward. But, it's a lot of those things. You just have to literally you have to immerse yourself in it and go 100%. Even if it's uncomfortable for you, you need reps, and it starts with the lowest barrier to entry. Mm-hmm. So however you can figure that out to start, to break that ice that you have in front of you, that's where you need to focus.
I'm telling you, the front desk is like gold. I cannot believe
it's easy.
I can't believe how many people don't realize that. That was people used to fight in my gyms over the front desk, and I'd schedule them.
I lived there, man.
That's where you park. You park yourself at the front desk. You check people, and you say, "Hi, what's up, John? What's up? Hey, what are you working on today? I'm hitting this."
And then you make friends with all the sales counselors and everybody.
Dude,
that way they feed you.
If you're a trainer that wants to grow your business, you need to live around the front desk and say hi to everybody that walks in, ask them what they're working on. Don't try and sell them shit. By the way, what Adam says about the pressure about trying to sell something, your goal, if you do have a goal, which sometimes you don't, sometimes your goal is just to say hi to people and talk to people, which is good. If your goal is anything, to get anything, it's to schedule an assessment or a free session, not to sell training. The odds of selling training off the floor are very, 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 very low, and only the best people tend to do that. And what I mean by the best is not that you're the best salesperson, but there's a certain type of sensitivity that you have with communication to know whether or not, because nobody wants to be bothered while they're working out to buy something. So you got to kind of know what you're doing there. So don't even worry about that. Just book assessments, talk to people. But yeah, that front desk, man, park your ass up there. That's money. Right
I know some people are not going to like this, but I mean, I also believe in complete transparency in our show. And so one of the things that I used to do, and I was notorious for this, I would actually hang out at the front desk at certain gyms because you could actually see the parking lot. And other times I would hang out in the parking lot. No. And if I saw somebody pull up in a 7 Series,
you knew your whales were.
Yeah, that's right. If I saw someone pulling up in a $100,000 whip, the likelihood of them investing in a few $1,000s in personal training is probably more likely than the guy. Now, that's not to say that I haven't sold plenty of training to somebody who drove up in some beater, but if you want to increase your odds on money not being an objection to, which, let's be honest, the number one objection you will hear in sales will always be money. And so you're less likely to hear I can't afford $300 or $500 worth of personal training when the guy or girl pulls up in a $100,000 whip. So I would actually see that person come in, and then I'd be at the front desk and I'd scan them in so I'd see their name, say hi to them then, and then I'd make sure to go out to the floor and say hi to them again on the floor. And so I used to do stuff like that all the time.
Nice to see you, Stuart Smith III. What are you going to be training today? How was your polo lesson?
Is that a family crest that you have embroidered? Oh, that's great.
Next question is from Connie Sue. Do you have any experience with clients with eating disorders?
This is all trainer day today, dude.
Yeah. What kind of advice do you have?
I love it. Yeah. I mean, most people I think you'll work with as a trainer, if you're a really good trainer, you understand nutrition really well. Most people have some type of eating, some type of eating dysfunction. I don't want to say disorder because clinical disorder would be like bulimia, anorexia, or some type of OCD. But most people have some type of eating dysfunction that you're going to have to work around. Now, I have worked with real eating disorders. I've worked with a few of them. Most of them, all of them but one, actually were working with a therapist in conjunction with me.
This is a hard one, by the way.
Very hard. One of them I trained, I was very, very, I was onto her. Like I knew she had an eating disorder, but you can't just come out and say you have an eating disorder.
Yeah, super delicate.
Yeah, and so I would sprinkle in some conversations, some questions. I talk a lot about myself. People are much more apt to open up to you when you're open with them. So I would talk about my own issues with food. I talk about how I always thought I was skinny and I would force feed myself, and I would, set my alarm to wake up in the middle of the night and to take a protein shake or whatever. And how I had, I told her, I said, I had an eating disorder. I just didn't realize it. I said, but I know how difficult it can be for people to even acknowledge that they have that issue, and it was incredible. It took me this long.
So you got to stop right there, because that is something that I used to teach that I think is a lost art, and not a lot of people understand the importance of what you just did right there. It's so, and good doctors do this really well, right? You come in, you get this, you find out you've got something, or you something that sounds so bad because you've never heard it. And a really good doctor does a good job of letting you feel like it's very normal and common, and don't worry, this is how we handle it, this is how we take care of it. The same thing goes for as a trainer who is getting this new client in that has an eating disorder or is struggling with obesity or has something that's a challenge. The last thing you want them to feel is make them feel like they're all alone in that, and that it's very uncommon or, oh my God. So by you sharing your own eating disorders or poor food relationships makes them at ease. And so I would tell trainers that when clients give you information like that, or you assume they have something like that, make them feel like almost everybody struggles with this in one way or another. Almost everybody deals with some sort of a food. That way it helps them be at ease a little bit and more likely to share more information with you and more likely to work towards getting better at it. And I think that's such a good point.
With this particular client that I suspected had either anorexia or bulimia, or one of those two, because she was just you can tell as a trainer, you can start to see in the gym who has these extreme issues, because there's the obvious physical symptoms, and there's other symptoms that you can look out for. And we were training, and her strength wasn't very good, and we stood up from an exercise and she got really dizzy. And so we sat down, and I said, what have you eaten today? And she told me, oh, I ate this and that. And I said, okay. I said, I want you to know that you could always be totally, totally honest with me with what you're doing. It'll only help me train you better. If you can be honest with me with everything, with what you're eating or what you're not eating, then I can be a much more effective personal trainer because I know you have particular goals. And then she started kind of opening up with her nutrition. And the thing really with her was I had to slowly get her to divulge the information. Yeah. I did not say you have an eating disorder. I did not say, oh, that's called bulimia and anorexia or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was very little. And then I would slowly talk her into, okay, eat, buy yourself these small packets of almonds. Make sure you eat that before you work out. That'll prevent you from getting dizzy. And that's a good thing because then we can train a certain way and you can build more muscle and, you could maintain your leanness better. And little by little, I talked her to that point to where I finally was able to have more frank discussions with her. And she did go and see a therapist, but it was a long process. But most of the people you're going to work with, if you're a really good trainer, you're going to find that everybody has some kind of eating dysfunction. Mm-hmm. You'll know right away when you tell your client, you can't eat this anymore. Or, you know what, let's stay away from this food. And all of a sudden they freak out. And yeah, what do you mean I can't?
Or how long do I have to do that for? Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just...
Very few people are going to just come forward and tell you they have a disorder or an issue with food like this. It's real similar to talking to an alcoholic or someone addicted to drugs. Rarely ever have you ever met somebody who is addicted to something like that and they go like, yeah, I'm totally addicted to drugs. I have a problem with that. I know that. Like, very few people admit it. And that's the first step, right, of getting through this process is admitting it. So I think your goal as a trainer is to make them feel comfortable enough to share that they have an issue. You're going to probably know before they share it with you. Your goal still, even when you know, is not to call them out. That's the worst thing you could do because then they're going to put them in denial and then you're probably going to be fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, and they're not even going to know most of the time that they're not going to realize that, like these habits are unhealthy for them. It's just like eye-opening. And so there's resistance to that because of the information that they've aligned themselves with, like since they're a kid, right? Like all this nutrition information. If you add something that contrasts that at all, it's like what? It's a really hard pill to swallow sometimes.
So I used to share stories of other clients as if to that person, but I'm really talking to them.
Sure.
So for example, let's say we're talking to somebody who has anorexia, and I know she's battling with this, but she hasn't fully admitted to me. I'm talking to her yeah, I know I get lots of clients that have this. In fact, I had this lady who's struggling with this, and I'm sharing the patterns and the things that I know that she's dealing with. So I'm really talking to her about her, but I'm acting as if I'm talking about lots of these clients that I've trained before or this particular person that I've had before.
Just examples that they can at least kind of identify with on some level.
And that's what I'm
deflects off of them.
Right. I'm trying to, like that old, hey, I have a question for a friend of mine, I have a friend of mine that's really interested in this. It's like that type of deal, right? No one wants to admit it's them. So it's kind of like you advising them and that kind of helps ease them into that, starting to share with you and ask more questions because they feel that their issue or what they're struggling with, they're not alone in it. Lots of people deal with it.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I want to be very clear. If we're talking about a diagnosable clinical eating disorder and you identify it, your goal should be, obviously you're open with them, you're talking with them, but see if you can get them to talk to a professional that deals with that. Sure. Because you as a personal trainer are not trained in this area. And now that I'm thinking about it, many of the personal trainers themselves may have some, eating dysfunctions, and they might not be the best people to talk to or to talk with these clients.
Although I believe the person who's asking this question is already a better trainer just for already wanting to know advice on how to handle it. So good point.
Quick commercial break. Hey, people ask us all the time how they can support Mind Pump. Here's what you can do. You can go to www.brain.fm/mindpump and get 20% off Brain FM for meditation or focus. You can also go to audibletrial.com/mindpump and get a 30-day trial plus 1 free audio book. Lastly, you can go to getnatureblend.com/mindpump and you will get a discount on Ben Greenfield's CBD product.
Next up is Garrett Morales. Justin, how does being a Mind Pump compare to being in a band?
Oh man, that's an awesome question. It's like so rad. Yeah, dude, there's so many comparisons. I mean, where do I begin?
Yeah. Is it really?
There's like apparel. You know what I mean? There's like
At what point?
everybody has like their own sort of vibe they're bringing in, to the creativity process.
Clash of egos.
Oh my God. Like, yeah, somebody always has a huge one. And then like somebody else kind of comes in like, no, man, I wrote that song. Like, oh shit, you're right. Like half the time it's really funny because I know like it resembles a lot of that sort of like team, that group flow kind of dynamic and something that we really have. And it's funny because it's total chemistry thing. Like some people can work out, some people can't work out. Like sometimes I've tried to, and I've jammed with certain people and it just sounds like dog shit. And like somebody doesn't have the right rhythm, somebody's like contributing like this weird like scale. And you're like, why would you throw that in there? That's fucking lame, bro. And like, the drummer, he's like doing his own little groovy thing. And you're just like, no, dude, pick it up, And so it's just like, it's this interesting like kind of blend of chemistry that sometimes you just hit, the group hits and it's like it's fucking gold and you make like killer music, but like it's so rare. And I feel like not to be like, we're so awesome, but we are, this chemistry thing, like it's rare to get that. So it's a pretty cool thing to think about. Cause I tried so hard to make that happen with the band, we were just like, dude, maybe we just got to work harder or we just got to get our big break,
That's a good question. Did you feel like, that whole process of trying to build a big band you had to work really hard at it, where this felt like there was no working towards it. It was just, could you distinguish the difference?
100%. Like you nailed it. Like the actual music we were making was interesting and I was like into it at the time. Like I was like, wow, sounds cool. And it was like really fun and we were having a whole lot of fun. But there was no business to it and there was no management to it. And it was all an afterthought. And like, I was the only one that even had a job, and so I'm like buying all the equipment and the trailer and all this shit and trying to book us gigs. And that was just like a one-sided thing. It was like, I just got burnt out. And like, once I kind of was like, dude, this is fun and all, but like, I'm burnt. Like I got to get back to reality where I'm making money and, like treating, like I got a degree for a reason. It's fun, guys, but
what are those guys up to now?
Actually, I stay connected to them loosely.
Did they all go off and do big things, or do some of them still chasing I want to be in a band one day?
One of them still is, and he was definitely one of the more talented ones for sure. He was in bands before us, so we kind of absorbed him. He was our lead singer guy for a while, Andrew. He's doing stuff with a country music singer, and like this guy's getting popularity. So I hope it takes off for him. That'd be awesome.
Oh wow,
yeah. But like he totally has shifted genres a bunch of times. So we were like heavy metal stuff, and so he went from before that with like this more like kind of like popular rock, and then he got into like metal with us, and then now it's like country. So it's interesting. He writes a lot of stuff on acoustic and it's really good, but I think he still has this this dream. I think he's the only one left that's really like music's my thing. Like it's so tough to break through. Like I totally respect musicians that soldier on, as they get shit.
That's a long time, dude. Because it was a long time ago.
You don't make money. It's not for people that want to make money. It just really isn't. It's not there.
It makes me think like, because chemistry is so important for a band because you're so creative. Mm-hmm. And so you need to have strong chemistry, but there's a potential downside of having really strong chemistry. It reminds me of like relationships, like guy and a girl are like super fire passionate, mm-hmm. and that passion can go in either direction.
It still burns out though.
Yeah. Or it burns out,
exactly.
or it
splits.
Can, so it's like you got to be careful. You have tons of chemistry. Mm-hmm. There's times when you need to be settle and kind of keep things cool because you can't always be off. I don't know. I'm thinking
it wasn't balanced. Which I feel like this is more balanced. The efforts are way more balanced, whereas it was like just we had like times where I was like, wow, we're just like in the zone, but that was hard to recreate all the time. It still took work to recreate that, whereas like this is just so much more natural speed.
Now, because you've experienced that, do you feel like we've already kind of past the time as, is it going to be like, for example, we've been together now for, even though we've only been on air for like 2.5 years, we've really been together about 3 or so, right? That we were all kind of talking and working together. Do you feel like we've now been together doing the same thing for long enough that, okay, we've kind of lasted the time that, okay, we're going to work together, versus like maybe a band you think at first like, oh man, right away you guys jam well, but then you find out 6 months later like this motherfucker's starting to get on my nerves.
Yeah.
Like, is that
there's sort of a proving grounds to that, right?
Right.
Like you only go so long with a certain group of guys where you just realize like, I don't know, man, I don't know if this has any weight to it. You know what I mean? And that's interesting to think about, because it's like when we were in it, like everybody just like, oh my God, we just need to get in front of people. Like you're just so like, optimistic, and you think everything's just gonna happen. And
that's like our Sal.
Yeah. No, which I love it, because I feed off of that, right? But I feel like with this, it's more like the comparison, like you've sort of mastered your instrument, right? And so have you, Sal, and so have I, right? And so we've gotten to a point where we've tried shitty bands, we've gotten through the circuits, you know what I mean? Like we know all like the the ins and outs of all the directions we could go, all that kind of stuff. We got a lot of wisdom, right? We've been on the road, and nobody knows who we are, but then all of a sudden, you just hang out, and we've all had like a similar story, and it's like, then it's the fucking Beatles.
Well, it'll be.
Might as well.
I had to go there.
Yeah, greatest band of all time.
Well, it'll be interesting, because I know that we have Brianna right now who is scheduling our roadie, and we plan on doing a nice little, hit start from Northern California, work our way all the way down Southern California trip. I think that'll probably be the closest thing.
Oh my God.
Right?
Can we sell some merch on the way too?
Absolutely.
That'll make me so happy.
I'll probably want to strangle Sal though, that much time.
I might
with him.
bring like
between
a guitar,
the broccoli and fucking fish inside the RV, and
dear God,
his all natural
nose plugs
deodorant
and earplugs,
all natural deodorant and stuff. I think by about day 3 or so in the RV, I might be tired.
I'll be strangling you guys.
You don't want to get rid of Beyonce.
I can't wait. It's all right. Justin Timberlake will hold it down. Don't worry.
Check it out. 30 days of coaching. It's available for free at mindpumpmedia.com. Also, make sure you get on there. We have that flash sale going on. You're going to get it only through email, so we're not going to display it anywhere else. Also, go to YouTube, Mind Pump TV. We post a new video every single day. And finally, if you want to ask us a question that we answer on an episode like this one, the place to ask it on is Instagram. The page to ask it on is Mind Pump Media. We also have our own personal pages. Mine is Mind Pump Sal, Justin is Mind Pump Justin, and Adam is Mind Pump Adam.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.